As some of you may know, I do find it more interesting when there is an "Am I the asshole?" that I disagree with, right? Like when I read whatever the flair is up here or whatever people decide, like, not the a-hole, you're the a-hole, everyone sucks here. I look for those ones that I potentially agree or no, disagree with the Reddit hive mind, because like agreeing with the Reddit hive mind is whatever. Because some of these are just like, I strangled my puppy. Do I suck as a person? And it's like, I mean, yeah, I think so. But that last one, which I don't even know if it's up at the time of me recording this. I can't remember when I scheduled it, but that conversation about the person that cooks dinner for these other people, and these other people randomly one day decided to be like, talk a little trash about the food, and then the lady basically knocked on them for like trash talk them back for not cooking their own food and being too broke. I sided with the asshole person that was calling them broke. Like, it's solely on principle, okay? I still stand by my decision that it's not a good idea if somebody is providing you food, and this is coming from pretty much my entire childhood was lived in poverty. It is usually not a good idea when somebody is doing something nice for you, and I'm not talking about somebody who's like, I'm going to do this nice thing for you, but I'm going to basically just talk trash about you the entire time. Like, I'm passive aggressively going to imply that you're a little bitch. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people that are just genuinely being nice. It's usually not a good idea to get smart with them about something like that, okay? And I'm hoping we strike gold here. I find these ones where I don't necessarily agree with the hive mind to be interesting, but it doesn't always happen, because it's usually too obvious. But anyways, am I the asshole for working less after my divorce, even though it means my ex gets less child support? We'll see. For the last 10 years, I've been working my ass off to earn money so my family could enjoy an excellent standard of living. This was apparently the wrong thing to do, since it led to my wife deciding that since I was never home, she would bang other dudes. Really hard to say that you're the asshole leading with that paragraph. It's not even really a paragraph. Those two sentences, pretty much almost immediately, I think most people are going to be like, not the asshole. As a matter of fact, there's lettuce in my teeth. It's driving me insane. Remember to clean out your teeth anytime you go to record. I don't think it's at the front, so you won't be able to see it, but just know that it's driving me crazy. I think that definitively, out the gate, it is hard to not like you. I think you could just refuse to pay child support on principle, and most people would be like, I get it. The asshole is for sure the family court system, but we'll see. When I work out of town, I earn about $240,000 a year. Where I live, child support for 2 kids is about $3,300 monthly with that salary. Imagine just getting that monthly. I mean, you got to take care of 2 kids and whatnot, but imagine just getting that monthly because you have 2 kids. I don't know. It is what it is. Since my divorce, I went to 50-50 custody and I work in town, so I only earn $100,000 yearly. So my child support is actually only $800 a month. Okay. My ex is going nuts because she isn't getting what she thought she would. My lawyer has tried explaining that child support is based on income, and since I am not working crazy hours to make lots of money for vacations and a huge house, I do not need to earn as much. Looks like he probably cut down his hours. He doesn't have to travel, so he's making less. His pay was cut down. Also, I feel like $800 a month. It's $400 a month per child a month. How much do you think it costs to feed each individual child a month? I mean, obviously clothes go into this, but like, maybe I'm missing something. I think your wife sucks, and it's like pretty definitive that your wife sucks. I can't wait to read the controversial comments on this one. There's got to be some people who say he's an asshole, and those are the interesting comments to me. Anyways, this is going to drive me crazy. Hold on a second. Had to toothpick it off screen. Anyways. Oh, thank God. It was like a clear piece of lettuce too, so no one would have been able to see it. It would have just been me going crazy, looking like an insane person. She's going nuts. I don't need to earn as much. Okay. She is telling everyone that, or what an asshole I am for cutting back on my own work to deprive my kids. I mean, he still has, what's so funny about this is it's 50-50 custody. So half of the time he's still watching the kids. He's still having to feed these kids half of the time. You know what I mean? And potentially pay for clothes. I don't know if she works or not. It kind of seems like she doesn't if she's freaking out about this $800 a month, but I digress, okay? It kind of just seems like she sucks, but she's telling everyone that what an asshole I am for cutting back on my work to deprive my kids. That is bullshit. I have my kids half the time, and since I cannot be out of town, I earn less. That's another valid point that I didn't even think of out the gate, but it totally makes sense. Now that, he doesn't have, I guess, a stay-at-home wife, he actually has to spend more time watching the kids, So he took a pay cut, and he has to obviously spend more time at home because he has to, I'm assuming, spend more time with the kids. I mean, it's harder to travel out of town when half of the time you have kids at home. You can't just leave them at home alone. But anyways, am I the asshole? I think it's pretty definitive. Let's just read the top comment. You're cutting your hours to be there for 50-50 custody. And because it's 50-50, you don't need the extravagant lifestyle choices. You cut back hours to be there for your kids more and live a more normal standard of living. Not the asshole. If you would have said you cut your hours strictly to avoid child support, then you would be the asshole. You can't just type out "you would be the asshole." But be forewarned, she could appeal it and go back to court and get a ruling on assumed income and tell them you cut your hours to avoid paying. So watch what you post and how you phrase. Isn't it insane that that's a thing? I mean, I think it's obvious that if you're going to have 50-50 custody after a divorce, if he was working full-time, and he was working out of town pretty consistently, he's obviously going to have to cut down those hours dramatically because he can no longer travel out of town all the time. He has to watch his kids. She kind of seems greedy to me, but I don't know. This last sentence, this last little section here kind of pisses me off at the implication that it's like he just has to watch his mouth, even though it's like, I don't know, man. She totally sucks. All the extra income was from overtime. I cannot be forced to work overtime. And you had to cut out traveling for work so you can have your kids 50% of the time. You had to adjust your schedule to accommodate time for your children. I don't understand the purpose of childcare payments in a 50-50 care arrangement. This only makes sense if the parent takes lead on school, medical, and clothing expenses. How does this actually work? Courts take into account that a child's lifestyle should not have to differ from one parent's to another's homes. And I mean, honestly, if you're getting $800 a month, like how... I mean, what does she got going on, man? She just wants the rent to be paid. You know what I'm saying? She wants the rent to be paid more than anything, it sounds like. But let's see controversial. Not the asshole for cutting back, but I feel like if you had just done this in the first place, your marriage might have survived. No, thank you. She would have complained that he was a bad provider and he was depriving her of and their children. How do you know that? Because that's how cheaters... I mean, true, man. I wanted them to have everything. Everything except your presence. The good news is that you can be present for your kids now and hopefully any future partners, everything except your presence. Isn't that that's such a fucked up thing to say to a person? Yeah, you just didn't, you wanted to give them everything except for your presence. Meanwhile, he's working and traveling out of town all the time. I mean, I understand where this person is coming from, but also, fuck off. All right, anyways, let's see. They didn't divorce because he wasn't present. They divorced because she cheated on him with multiple people. Yeah, that comment's very interesting to read, knowing that information there. He wasn't present. I mean, she cheated. It's like immediately hard to feel any remorse for her. Anyways, not the asshole. However, there are laws. I'm not sure what they are where you live, but in some places, if there is a reasonable suspicion you are underemployed to try to make life harder for your ex and to try to pay less child support, you may end up being forced to pay child support based on what you should be able to earn. I've researched this. It's that way in Virginia at least. Isn't that insanity? Except the court should take into consideration that he's making less money in order to be there for the kids. I feel like that's fair. Should, yes, but often they do not. Well, that's rough. I'm working full time at the same salary. I'm just not working overtime since I have my kids. Yeah, she can kick rocks. Creepy push 8629. This is like see, this is the thing about this is it's not even like a Reddit hive mind thing. It's just I feel like universally across the board, anyone reading this would be like, unless you're in a similar situation to the wife. Like, unless you're a cheater who's gone through the exact same thing, that's the only way I could see you siding with the wife here. To which I hate to make you aware of this, but everyone hates you. Maybe not everyone. You know, other divorced women that cheated on their husbands, they probably think you're swell. But most people hate you. Well played, my friend. The people, you're a hero. I admire your ass, man. Those comments are whatever. She's just mad she can't milk you for free money. Wait, she's a teacher? A substitute teacher? She doesn't make much. You take care of the child 50% of the time? Yeah, that's definitely different than when I was a kid, man. As I talked about this at the beginning. When I was a kid, we lived in poverty because my dad was a terrible person. And he didn't even get me 50% of the time. He got me like the occasional weekend when he wasn't in prison, and he never paid a single dime of child support. Now, my mom was never super strict on getting it from him. You know, she wasn't like the wife here. My mom also made it a point, and I think this is an important thing to do. This is like a super important thing to me that's going to seem really random. But if you are in a divorce situation, and this also applies to him as well, because as much as it sucks that she cheated, I still think that this is something that you should take in mind when a divorce goes on. If you have kids and you got divorced, don't act like your ex is the worst person in the world to your kids, because those kids came from your partner. You know what I mean? It's a combination of you two, and I genuinely believe that you can negatively affect your children's self-esteem if all the time you're talking about how their mother or how their father are the worst people, parasites on the earth, because those kids, I mean, they're the blood of the father or the mother, whatever. That's a weird way to say that. But I genuinely think that you're better off not doing that. My mom actually never never trash talked my dad, and it would have been very easy because he went to jail a lot. Like, all of the opinions that I have on my father are based on personal observations. There are many times where I couldn't talk to him because he was in jail. Thank God for my grandpa and other potential father figures that I had in my life. I didn't have a stepdad until I was in high school, but you get the idea. Because he really was just an example of what not to be. And half of the time I could hardly talk to him because he was in jail. My mom never said a single bad thing about this man, though, which is amazing. But I do think that that idea of just, because you see a lot of yourself, especially if you're a man, you see a lot of yourself in your father. And maybe in your mom in certain instances, I can't relate because, my mom, in theory, was the breadwinner. But you get the idea. Not the asshole. If I were you, I'd take an even less paying job. Not good advice. My salary times 40 hours a week is $100,000. I'd have to change careers. I like my work. This guy just seems like a good person. Not the asshole. You made a mistake marrying her, bro. So she cheated and yet you have to pay child. Yeah, that's how that works. It's for the kids, man. I understand people that make these types of comments, because it's like, why? I don't want to send money to her because she's a bad person. But you have to think of it from the perspective of it's for the kids. Now, to be fair, in a lot of circumstances, I think most parents that get child support from the other person are using that money for their kids. But I do think there are some parents where it's like that $800 is just like, that's just extra money for them. You know what I mean? They're already fine with taking care of the kids. But yeah, this person's wife just sucks. I think this person's wife sucks so much. Ooh, never mind. We found one. Wait, where'd it go? Okay, I wanted to open this. Okay, so you offer your child 8% of your income per year, but since this is the law, that's enough for you. Child support is for the child, not your ex. Why should he pay any when he has the kids with him? I'm glad that the first comment immediately says that, because he still has to watch the kids the other 50% of the time. Not only does he have to watch the kids, but he has to provide money to the other person that watches kids half of the time because he was the breadwinner. You know what I'm saying? This person, like, I don't know what to tell you, Planet Maury, but you suck. And in only 4 days, you got one reply. You offer your child 8% of your income per year. How much was the house he bought? Ooh. How much was the roof that he put over their heads? The food? Question mark. Just wondering. Anyways, not the asshole. She cheated. She can take a long walk off a short pier. Maybe you should vote not the asshole because you voted no asshole here, which means you consider the ex-wife as not an asshole. I didn't even see that. Anyways, in my state, the money NCP, not the asshole, not the asshole. Ex-wife is learning why she shouldn't have opened her legs for other people. Info, you're choosing to work regularly in a town and nearby due to a 50-50 parenting schedule. Was the thought of going to your boss and asking to no longer travel because you need more set in stone hours to be around the kids? Why did you take the sudden pay cut? Is it the hours? It's to be with his kids, like he said. I feel like that was obvious. It's not really a pay cut, though. He's just not doing overtime. Not the asshole. Why can't she work? She does work, apparently. You're the asshole, and your kids will know it. Repulsive calendar. You're the asshole, and your kids will know it. Yeah, because for sure, the mom, the cheating mom that pretty much like caused the divorce, will be telling the kids that because she already is. He still needs to evaluate where he messed up because blaming someone for your avoidance is dumb. Who are these people? I don't understand how these people function in the real world. You know what I'm saying? Reading your comments makes it difficult to determine if you are just trying to stick it to the ex or if you are being more involved with your children's lives. This is no longer about your wife's needs. It is all about what the children need. Yes, true. Is $400 each to the children at the house that they're only at half of the time because the other half of the time they're with him? I don't know. Like, how much do the children have everything they need at both homes? I don't know, man. Seems kind of an extra 800. How? Go outside. Thank you, SFO195. Is childcare and healthcare covered? Most likely, they're his kids. If you're that is the most important part, making children's lives less stable to get back at your ex, but he's obviously not doing that. Immediately when you read that he now has the kids, it's a 50-50 thing. If he's the guy that was doing all of the work, he's going to have to cut down on his hours. Can be considered your ex doesn't get child support. Your children do, you mangy mutt, fairy penguin. Yeah, we get it. They still are. He's still paying child support. He's also watching his kids, probably way more than he was before. The judge saw through him. Support stayed the same. You're the asshole. The judge too. My dad did this. The judge saw through him. Your dad stopped working overtime and went down to normal 40 hours a week schedule so he could have 50-50 custody. 0% custody and switched jobs to be paid in less. So nothing like the situation. What are you talking about, man? 0% custody and switch jobs to be paid less in order to reduce child support. So you just didn't read. So this person just didn't read the post at all. Am I missing something? Did he not say, my divorce, I went to 50-50 custody? So I'm never going to be able to find it now. Oh, no. Thank God I downvoted something. Was I really scrolling this far? Ugh, doom scrolling. My dad did this. Your dad didn't do that because he didn't have 50-50 custody, and you admit he had 0% custody, and he switched jobs in order to be paid less specifically for that. So why is spending 50% of your time with the kids suddenly important now that you're divorced? You were happy spending next to no time with them. That's a lot of assumptions to make. Meal ecstatic Bitcoin spot referral. Get out of here. That's a lot of assumptions to make. You were happy to spend no time with your kids as he's working. I love that assumption that all dudes are just working so that they can get away from their wives and kids. These dudes that are working like extreme hours. Yeah, it's just to get away from the kids because, nothing's more annoying than the wife and kids. I'd rather just be at work all the time. You simultaneously drop their standard of living and change their primary caregiver overnight out of spite. I would say that the mom did that by being a cheating whore. Surprising kids who never spent much time with you may not actually want to spend 50% of their time with you. You're the asshole. Well, by your own words, you are doing this intentionally. So yes, you are the asshole. I don't think you understand what he means by he's doing this intentionally. He's doing this intentionally to watch the kids more. Are you OP? No. The shut it. The shut it. Also, my opinion doesn't have to agree with your own. OP asks for an opinion. He made the decision to do it? I mean, this guy is an idiot. This is why he stopped responding here. Because it's obvious that he made the decision to cut down his hours because he would need to spend more time watching his kids. I can't believe she'd cheat, be awarded child support. I mean, the thing is, I already said this. This is how you can tell I've been recording too long. I should have ended the video like 5 minutes ago. I already brought up that point. Regardless of whether or not she cheated or the reason why the divorce happened, the kids are the most important thing when it comes to child support. But this guy's definitely not an asshole. I seriously doubt that these kids are truly suffering. If anything, they're suffering more because she's no longer in that same house as the guy that's making all the money. But the secret to that is that you could just not cheat on your significant other, and then you don't have to worry about it. Who is downvoting the not the asshole? You should divorce her again. Yeah, I feel like it's going to be hard. If you have kids 50% of the time, she has them 50% of the time. That sounds like equal responsibility. Why do you have to give her a penny? He still makes more. It's literally just because of it's literally just so the kids have a somewhat similar life. But anyways, I hope you're doing the right thing by your kids. It's amazing that these comments have downvotes. Anyways, I hope that you take the high road here and you don't repeat any of the things I said to your children about your wife being a whore. Because I still genuinely believe, and I think it goes both ways, that kind of talk about the parents of the children to the children can negatively affect them. Because they came from you guys, you know what I mean? There's a part of them that's like, well, half of me is her, so I guess I'm a dumb whore. I don't think the kids would be thinking that, but I think that gets to them as they get older. I definitely, have known people, as somebody that grew up in poverty, I was surrounded by other people that grew up in poverty, and one of the main reasons is because of single parent households. I definitely had friends whose parents did a lot of trash talk about the parent that wasn't around. And it does very strange things to them as adults, man. It is not pretty. So you're not the asshole. Unfortunately, I was looking for one that maybe I disagreed with, but almost immediately, it's hard to consider you to be the asshole in this situation. You know what I'm saying? So congratulations. I hope, take care of your kids, pay the child support. Try not to trash talk, your significant other, and just take this note, by the way. When I was like 7 years old, I got to talk to my dad on the phone. He was in prison. Oh, no. This was a different time. He was in the hospital. He had suffered from a little bit of the alcohol poisoning. I remember this shit because I actually got a call from my grandma on my dad's side, and then she handed the phone over to him. He consistently, anytime I talked about him, and my grandpa on my dad's side of the family would consistently call my mom the devil 24/7. As I grew up, I began to hate my dad more because I just couldn't see that person that he was describing in my mom, because she was taking care of me on her own with no support from him. So no matter how hard he tried to convince my mom, or to convince me that my mom was the asshole, at the end of the day, as I grew up, it just became obvious to me. And it was kind of obvious from early on, because, when you're sitting there talking to your son on the phone and talking about how his mom is this asshole and literally the devil, and he starts crying on the phone. I was crying at 7 years old because my dad was saying these things about my mom. It is not going to make your child like you in the long run, especially when my mom was feeding me, she was buying me clothes, she was getting me to school, and she took care of me, and you were never there. You were just the person that complained. Now, this person is going to be a little harder because the wife is there 50% of the time. And I think it's going to be rough, but I do feel like there is still that potential. You take the high road at the end of this, the kids eventually are going to realize who is the right one here. And it's hard because you can't just be like, your mom cheated, right? Because I feel like you could, but you get the idea. But that's just how I feel about it, man. I hope it works out for you. I think it will, hopefully. We'll see.